Vijay, against whom did you play your next test series?
It was against West Indies at home. For the first time, a team from across the Caribbean Sea came to India. It contained both white and colored cricketers.
Did you enjoy the same success in tests against them as you had done in Australia?
After badly failing in the first test, I got two centuries in the second and the final test. Both were played at Bombay. I made 50 in each innings at Calcutta and another 50 at Madras. I ended batting by totaling 543 and topping our batting averages. I also became the first Indian to reach 1000 runs in Test.
Well, that was quite a landmark. How strong were the West Indies side?
They were very strong in batting. Twice they ran up total over 600. Weeks got four successive centuries that gave him a test record at five in all. Walcott, Ray, Stallmer also made good scores, except in the Madras test, which they won on their bowling, was not strong enough to bowl us out twice. For us, Modi, Fatkar, Adhikari, and Mushtaq Ali batted well.
But does this mean that the tests were closely fought?
The first three tests never looked ending in result. The West Indies won the fourth mainly because of short pitch balls, but we had done the same when they had batted. The last one was, however, a close affair. India would have won but for the visitors' tactics.
You use the word tactics. What tactics?
They adopted time wasting tactics on the last day. They bowled outside the leg stump. It was negative bowling. Once the wicket-keeper Walcott went to the boundary to fetch a ball. When only 15 minutes remained, they insisted on having drinks interval in the last hour. There were no mandatory overs in those days. All these were definite time wasting tactics. In addition, the stuff they bowled at me was called by critics by body line as I was hurt. On the whole, it was not very pleasant. At the end, India needed 5 runs to win with 2 wickets in hand. The umpire panicked and ended play nearly 2 minutes early.
Oh, it seems to have been quite a drama. But did the West Indies visit affect the domestic program?
It did not. On the contrary, a new idea was tried out. Instead of playing Ranji Trophy on a zonal basis for qualifying round, an open draw was made. It did not succeed as it involved long travel for the team and very high expenditure. So from next year it was back to square one.
So this free for all experiment did not work out. But how far did your side Baroda progress in the Ranji Trophy?
Baroda actually reached the final, but we lost to Bombay. The final lasted a whole week with no rest day. I had a trying time as I bowled 53 overs in the first inning and about 30 in the second. In Baroda's 2 innings, I made 98 and 115. Barring the couple of hours at the start of our 2 innings, I was on the field throughout the 7 days. I was either bowling, fielding, or batting.
Oh, it looks like a marathon effort. But did you have any compensation for your solo efforts?
I became the first batsman to score 4,000 in Ranji Trophy. I also completed 1,000 runs in a domestic season for the second time during the season. I had made 6 centuries. Against the tourists, I had made 137, and captaining the West Zone, I had another 100 to my credit. I had another benefit. It was that I got a chance to play in the Lancashire League cricket in England.
It must have been quite a novel experience for you to play in Lancashire League cricket. What type of cricket is played in the Lancashire leagues?
It is a Saturday afternoon cricket. There the emphasis is on quick scoring and the result on first inning.
So it is just like our today's one day cricket. But you yourself said a little while ago that you were not regarded as a fast scorer. In fact, you were regarded as a slow scorer. How did you fit in this type of cricket?
Many thought I was not suited to league cricket. Amar Singh and Amarnath were the two Indians who played league cricket before the war. Both were attacking batsmen. In league cricket, an all-rounder has a chance to do well, and I was an all-rounder.
But how did you manage to adjust to league cricket?
I learned that to score fast it is not necessary to hit just fours and sixes. Clever placing of the ball keeps the scoreboard moving. I adopted placing tactics. Occasional drives and pulls also increased the rate of scoring. Soon I was getting useful runs in the pretty quick time. My medium pace bowling also gave me a number of wickets. In the end, I proved a success.
That means you were successful as an all rounder. Can you give some figures about your batting and bowling?
In my first season in the Lancashire League, I completed the double. I scored more than 1,000 runs and took more than 100 wickets. I also topped both the batting and bowling averages in the league table.
So they seem to be quite impressive figures. But was that the only time you played, or did you play again in the league?
Yes, I played again in 1950 and 1951. Then in 1955, I played one more season for my club Rottenstall.
So we have got an idea of league cricket. But what is your overall impression about Lancashire league cricket?
I found that it gives a chance to play in changing English weather conditions and improve technique. I played well in the test in 1952 in England because of my experience in league cricket. Most people did not realize that today's one day limited over cricket is just a variation of the cricket played in the league. But in those days, we did not need restrictions on the number of overs a bowler bowled or a side played. We did not feel that necessity of those 30-yard circle or the restriction of fielders on the onside. Everything was left to the sporting sense of the playing sides. Always an exciting game resulted.
That's quite interesting and worth considering by today's players. But did this thing help you a lot? And afterwards, did any foreign side visit India next season?
Visits by foreign sides to India became a regular feature. The reason was that in India, large crowds were attracted to matches with visiting sides. In 1949-50, a Commonwealth side came to India.
That means no official side came to India.
According to the test program, no country was due to visit India. A.S. DeMello, the board's president, hit upon an idea to invite a team of players in the Lancashire League from a strong side was chosen to come to India.
Since it was an unofficial side, how were the matches against the Commonwealth side classified?
As per cricket technique, only a country can play official tests. Since this side include cricketers from Australia, England and West Indies, the tests were to be called unofficial.
So that seems to be in consonance with the etiquette of cricket. But who were the main players in the touring side?
George Livingston was the captain and wicketkeeper Frere Oldfield, Alley and Tribe were the leading players. Frank Wall was the main attraction of the side.
How strong did the Commonwealth side prove?
It won the first test and made us follow on in the second. But from the third test onward, we came on top and I had to do something with it.
You said you had to do something, but in what way?
In the first two tests, Merchant was our captain. From the third onward, he was unable to play due to an injury, and I was appointed as the captain of India. We won the third and the fifth tests, and with that, the rubber.
So you proved to be a lucky captain.
Yes, in fact, I lived up to Napoleon's motto. Whenever a general was due for promotion, he used to ask, "Is he lucky?" Well, I was.
Well, certainly you seem to have proved it. How much did you yourself contribute to India's victory?
I scored 175 not out in the third test at Calcutta. In the second innings, I was batting when India won. In the last test at Madras, I made 84 and 77, and we won there too. In the rubber, I scored nearly 675 runs and took 10 wickets. I topped both the batting and bowling averages. In the first test, I got 100 and acted as captain almost throughout the match as the skipper was hurt.
So far, so good. But did you have the same success in the Ranji Trophy season?
Yes, I scored over 600 runs. Baroda won the Ranji Trophy again after 3 years. In the final, I scored 130 and 101. That means I scored a century in each innings. For the third time in my career, I had done this. For a change, I was out for 99 against Gujarat. That was the only time I missed at this score. I completed 1,000 runs during the season and I also reached 200 wickets in Ranji Trophy.
How did you enjoy your first spell as international captain for India?
I enjoyed it thoroughly. Critics appreciated my moves in the field and bowling changes. For me, the important thing was that my batting form did not suffer due to cares of captainship. I, however, knew that I was only a captain
You use the word stopgap, but why did you think so?
because Merchant was still an active cricketer and only injury prevented him from continuing in the latter part of the season. He came back to lead against the second Commonwealth side next season.
You mean another such side visited India next year in 1950-51?
Yes, and it was a much stronger side. Worrell was the vice captain and he led the three tests. Laker played in first two tests. Aiken, Donald, Doolan and Ramadhin made the team a formidable one. On helpful Bombay wicket, Ridgway bowled very fast and well.
How did India and you in particular fare against them?
India lost two tests and did not win any. I scored a century in each of the first three tests and in the fourth made 80 and 75. My only two failures were on bad wicket at Bombay and Kanpur. Later, I captained a combined India Pakistan Ceylon side against the tourists at Colombo and got another century.
Oh, that means you got 4 centuries in all in representative matches. This was all right for the test. But how did Baroda fare in the Ranji Trophy that season?
We were knocked out in the second round, but in one match I got a century. I managed to complete 1,000 runs for the season. Thus, for the third time, I had topped the 1,000 mark in a home season. Prior to that, my two tours to England and Australia had fetched me another 1,000 runs.
When did you officially captain India in a test?
My chance came in 1951-52 when England toured India. There was a contest for captainship and I won. But then this election was fought. I was 6,000 miles away playing in Lancashire League. That is more, I did not even know that my name was proposed for captainship.
Oh, it looks all so strange. Can you elaborate on this?
In those days, India Test captain was not nominated by the selection committee. The associations who were members of the Cricket Control Board elected the captain at a meeting. Unknown to me, my name was proposed against merchants and there an election. It went in my favor. I knew all about it only in England.
On hearing it, what was your reaction to your appointment as India's test captain?
Naturally, I was thrilled at getting this honor, but I deeply regretted that an election had to be held. Merchant was my senior in age and experience. I never imagined that there would be a tussle between us, but I had no knowledge of it, and of course, I had no control over it. One does not turn down the honor of captaining one's country in test. I accepted the post.
Yes, a noble sentiment, I should say. How did you prepare yourself for this ardent and very important job?
As I was in England, I decided to do some homework. I kept myself informed about the form of the probables for the tour. Soon I learned that many seniors in English cricket had decided to rest at home instead of touring India.
So, when the English side to tour India was announced, did you feel that it was not their strongest?
On paper, it did look to be a second 11, but I knew the thoroughly professional approach of English cricketers. I have always thought that a man chosen for his country must be regarded as a test class. In cricket, the golden rule is never to underestimate your opponent.
Very wise words. But how strong did the touring side prove?
It drew the first three tests, but we laid them on the first innings in each of them. In fact, in the first test, we were in a strong position to win at that stage, but drop catches and their fighting spirit saved them. In the second test, we slumped for a while after being on top, but we knew that it was not at all very easy to beat them.
Then what happened in the fourth test?
The unexpected happened. The tough wicket at Kanpur was underprepared and favored the spinners. The visitors had two spin bowlers in Tattersall and Hilton. They routed us in both the innings. Although our spinners dismissed England for a moderate score of 200, the failure of our batting caused our defeat. So I was justified in saying that opponent should never be underrated.
You said that your batting failed. How did you contribute to the defeat by your batting failure?
I became the first Indian to bag a pair of spectacles in tests. In cricket, it is the euphemism to say that one becomes a complete cricketer only after getting a pair in a match. As a rule, I do not offer excuses for my dismissal, but in the second inning, I played a ball which did not beat me, but somehow it trickled to my wicket.
Yes, the pair has been called euphemistically. That means to lessen the impact. But how had you started the test series?
I had started wonderfully well. In the first test at Delhi, I scored 164 not out. In the second at Bombay, I made 155 before I was run out. Thus, I had made over 300 runs in two successive test innings without losing my wicket to any bowler. After this, suddenly lost form. I cannot give explanation for this topsy-turvy state.
Well, it many times happens like that. But how did you take this defeat?
I was determined to fight back. I thought we could clear the series at Madras. It had proved lucky for me more than once in the past.
But did it prove again lucky for you?
Yes, it did. India won by innings. This was India's first ever win in an official test at the 25th attempt. In a way, we celebrated the silver jubilee of India's test cricket brightly. I had the honor of leading India in the first test victory. It was the proudest moment of my life. Our victory, first test victory, it was that proved that cricket is a team game. The collective effort of all lead to a win. In the past I had done well, yet my side had lost. Here I did little, but my side won because the team as a whole did well.
Well, everyone will share your sentiments. When did you captain India again?
We won in February 1952. A few months later, India were due to tour England. I was appointed as the captain. On the tour, we were to play four tests against strong England teams. This meant I would captain India in a test at Lord's. It was something I had hardly imagined in my school days. I have a great regard for the historic tradition loving Lord's. It is rightly called the cathedral of cricket.
So facts are usually stranger than fiction and more than imagination. That's why I think Shakespeare has said that there are more things than we can imagine. Well, how did you fare in the Lord's Test and in the other tests in England in 1952?
In the Lord days, I was not out with 69 in the first inning. If I had one or two partners to stay with me, I would have scored a century. In the second innings, I shared a partnership of 211 with Vinu Mankad. In the first test, I had a stand of 222 with Manjrekar for the fourth wicket in the first inning and 105 with Fadkar for the sixth wicket in the second inning.
No, that looks quite impressive. Did you have to bat in a crisis every time?
Yes, in the second inning of the first test at Leeds, our scoreboard showed the most shocking reading: 4 wickets down for 0 runs. I went in at number 6 because I had a pulled muscle. I prevented a hat trick by Truman, scored 56 and added 100 with Fadka. In the last test, our score was 6 runs with half the side out. I made 38. It looked a small score, but considering the wicket and the situation we were in, it was worth a century.
Certainly. But did the others fight as well as you yourself did?
Manjrekar, Fadkar, and Mankad fought on occasions, but none of them consistently. Pace bowling of Truman was our main weakness. However, he got my wicket only once in the series.
But outside the test, how did you fare?
Not very well. Still, I made over 1,000 on the tour against Oxford University. Umbrigar and I came together with our score at 32 for 3 wickets. We added 366 in unbroken partnership, of which my share was 161. Ours is still the highest partnership for any Indian pair on English tour.
Oh, quite a good